Welcome, welcome. Gonna get started here in just a minute. I'm so excited to be talking with you about three secrets of real millionaires. And for the research I'm going to be talking about, essentially the focus is going to be on self-made millionaires. So let me just get things organized here, and then we'll get it done. So we're talking about three secrets of self-made millionaires. Three secrets of self-made millionaires. Now, why do I call these secrets? It's not just clickbait. Although if it did interest you, I don't blame you because we're all interested in secrets. And these were secrets to me. I grew up lower income, didn't have a lot of money, didn't know any wealthy people. And so I was at a loss for how do rich people think? I was young enough and I should say I was old enough to realize that there's a big difference between not having money and having money. I I'll never forget. I was at a friend's house when I was growing up, and I looked at this friend as being ultra rich. In retrospect, I would say that this friend was solid middle class, but this friend looked ultra rich to me because they had more than one bathroom. They had more than one bathroom. And in the house I grew up in, we had one bathroom. So there were three of us living there, four of us, sometimes five living there, sometimes six of us living there. And we had one bathroom. And if you've ever been in that situation, you can probably relate to the experience of needing to go to the bathroom and not being able to because you have one bathroom. So for me as a child, my definition of rich was having more than one bathroom. And I'm happy to say that I've made it. I live in a house now where we have more than one bathroom. And for me, that just makes me feel ultra, ultra rich. But what I would do at my friend's house, who had more than one bathroom, who I considered rich, I was fascinated with what his parents did. So his mom was a stay home mom. And I really didn't know any stay home moms growing up because most people had to work. So most people had to have both parents, if you were lucky enough to have both parents in the house, have both parents working a job in order to pay the bills. So the whole concept of a stay-home parent was something that was semi-foreign to me when I was growing up because people had to work. So my mom had a job, my dad, my stepdad, my stepmom, everybody had to work. Everybody had to work. So the whole concept of being able to afford a life where one parent gets to stay home and do what? All the household stuff? Are you kidding me? What a luxury. So I added that to my list. If you're able to have, for hopefully a two-parent home, and one was able to stay home and not have to work, incredible. You're rich in my mind. So back to the story about my friend. I would go over to his house, and I knew his mom was a stay-home mom. They had, I think, three bathrooms in their house, so they're mega, mega rich in my mind. And I was, even as a young child, I remember middle school being obsessed with trying to figure out what does my friend's dad do for a living? What does he do? How does he think? Obviously, money is working very differently in their family than it was working in mine. What am I missing? So I became a student of what it takes to go from poor to rich as early as middle school, because it became really clear to me that life is better if you have more money. Now, you've perhaps heard of some research that shows that there is no association between money and happiness above an income of around $75,000. Now, that's based on a whole body of research related to this. And that number seems to drift up in those studies over the years. And when I analyze, through my own lens, that data, I see that it sort of tracks the median income in the United States. And so there is some evidence to suggest that there's no significant correlation between money and happiness above that median income level. However, new, better research has challenged that. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, so this feels more right. Better research, looking at uh, better categorization of people who have money and in certain levels of income has found that that trend continues upward. So there is an association between more money leading and being associated with more of a sense of wellness, well-being, life satisfaction. And it really makes sense. It really makes sense. If you are struggling to make ends meet, if you are worried about how you're going to feed your children, where's that next meal coming from? It causes a lot of stress. It truly does. If you're feeling like you're way below what people are making around you in your neighborhood, social media just makes this worse. It leads to feelings of anxiety. It leads to feelings of FOMO. You're missing out. It doesn't feel really good. So, what are the secrets of self-made millionaires? It's something I was really curious about as a kid. Again, I had that idea of what is rich. And so I'm really excited to share it with you. And if we're meeting for the first time, my name is Dr. Brad Klontz, and I'm a clinical psychologist. I got my doctorate in clinical psychology. I got really curious about the psychology of money after I lost most of my money day trading. Now, before you beat me up and you say, oh, Dr. Brad, what an idiot thing to do, I agree with you. It wasn't very smart. I didn't know any better. I got out of graduate school. I owed $100,000 in student loan debt. I saw a mentor and friend of mine make $100,000 in 1 year day trading. What was so fascinating about it is that my mentor, this person, knew nothing about the stock market, knew nothing about trading. I remember being with this individual at their computer, watching them buy an investment. And I said, well, what is that stock? And I'm going to characterize it here a little bit, caricature it. But he's like, ha, 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 I don't know. And he buys it, buy, buy, buy. And I was sitting back going, you mean you don't even have to know what an investment is and you can make money? Is this how people get rich? And this mentor of mine had way more money than I did, definitely a millionaire. And I was the student. I'm the hungry student. I got out of grad school. I got my doctorate in clinical psychology. I owe $100,000 in student loan debt. I'm terrified by this. I'm terrified. I grew up lower income, but I had a very smart mother, and she taught me, don't have debt, son. Don't have debt. Debt will kill you. And so for my mother and my stepfather, they would not buy a car until they could save up enough cash to buy it, which took a long time and it wasn't that nice of a car for much of my life, but that's what they did. And so they instilled this fear of having debt and borrowing money, which by the way is a great fear to have. Like I think more Americans should have this fear. But for me anyway, in order to get my doctorate in clinical psychology, I had to borrow money. I had to take out student loans. And so by the time I got out of school, I owed around $100,000 in student loans. The interest rate was at about 8.5%. So that first year, I'm paying like 8 grand in interest. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I could just see my future around all this interest, this high interest debt. And it was terrifying. And so, meanwhile, I saw, like I said, my mentor make $100,000 in 1 year day trading. So I did what any reasonable person would do in that scenario. I sold everything I had of value, which for me was a Nissan truck I had that was used, but it was my precious, most valuable possession. I sold that. I ended up investing, as much as I possibly could. I think it was around 8 to 10 grand. Put it all in the stock market. This is every last dime I had. I was going to take that 10,000. I'm going to spend a year day trading. I'm going to run it up to 100K, pay off all my student loans, and at least I could start at zero. So this was a desperate move for me to have a net worth of zero. That was my goal. I wasn't trying to get rich quick. I was trying to make quick money so I could pay off my debt, so I could have a net worth of zero. Oh my gosh. That it felt like what a wonderful idea that felt like to me, to have a net worth of zero. That was my goal. Well, I had fun with it for a while and I was making money for a while. And then a few months into it, it started to collapse and I started to lose money. And I watched my balances go down and I'm like, oh, no, 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 diamond hands, right? That's the saying nowadays. I'm going to wait till it comes back to where it should be, because I have that anchor around what the price is. Goes down, goes down, goes down. Well, I was in the midst of the tech bubble. So I had started to invest and do day trading right at the peak of that tech bubble. It started to dissipate, fall apart. I'm watching my money slide down. It was a terrible emotional experience. I'm beating myself up. Oh my gosh, why did I do this? I make all the classic investing mistakes you can possibly make. That's why I'm here to share with you the secrets, because I certainly didn't know them, and I screwed myself up, and I made a hole for myself, and it took me a while to recover from that, not just financially but psychologically. I was like, "Oh my gosh, so what a scam. Is investing a scam?" And what I realized over time is that it wasn't investing. I was speculating. One of the things that worries me about recent history are so many people who've lost so much money doing the same thing, day trading or trading in crypto, and they have this idea that I'm never going to do it again. So they've lost money, and it's not an unwise thing to say to yourself, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to invest. Now the problem is that's not investing. You were not investing. You were not doing what wealthy people do with their money to make it grow. That's that you were not investing. What you were doing was speculating. And what I discovered over time is that that's not what wealthy people do. So if you want to invest like rich people invest, they do not take those types of dramatic risks with their money. No, 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 they do not at all. Trust me. You might think that in order to get rich, I need to take bigger risks than normal. Not true. It's false. Don't do it. Beware if you do it. And by the way, as I'm talking, we're doing this live. If you're catching it on the replay, welcome, and I encourage you to write some questions in the comments. But since we're live too, if you have any questions, fire away, and I will address them. So, so again, I grew up lower income. I'm a financial psychologist. I tried to study the psychology of wealth, the psychology of money. Since then, I've done a bunch of studies myself, actual science, where we analyze the psychology of people at different levels of socioeconomic status. We analyze them. And a big part of my focus has been around behaviorally. Like, what is the psychology? What are the behaviors of these self made millionaires? Because I was really curious because I wanted to gather that information and share it with as many people as I possibly could. But there was also some selfish intent there too, where I wanted to learn what they're doing so that I can perhaps do it, so that I can change my family's course around money, so that I can teach my children around how to become wealthy, so they don't make the same mistakes, so they don't have to be stuck in this like generational poverty, not having money, having to restart every generation. I was very, very committed and excited to shift this dynamic in my family. And so, I hope you can do the same. So I really do focus on helping people break free from what I would say like a working class, middle class mindset, poor mindset, especially to become millionaires. It's my passion. I I get paid to do other things. So I am an owner of an asset management company where we manage over $500 million for ultra wealthy individuals. And so I'm certainly, if you're ultra wealthy already, chances are you already have a financial planner. You're probably set. What I'm trying to do is help share that information with people who don't have that level of wealth right now, but are aspiring to get there. And so that's why this is free. I'm here to just educate. I'm passionate about it. That's why I create social media content, is because I want to share what I've learned with as many people as possible and be the person that I wish I had when I was younger. I didn't have a mentor teaching me any of this stuff. I made tons of mistakes because I didn't know any rich people. I didn't know what rich people did. So it was all brand new to me. And so I want to share that with as many people as possible. So you're here. I'm excited you're here. Ask me any questions in the comment. I'll get to them now or I'll get to them later. So let's get into the 3 secrets of millionaires. So before I do that, I just want to say that if you're here, who's this conversation for? Again, it's for people who perhaps grew up like me, didn't know any rich people, didn't know how they did it. So if you have a strong desire to change your financial life, this video is for you. If you have the courage to challenge and let go of some destructive habits, this video is for you. If you are willing to open your mind, and this is sort of a key, as I'm talking, as I'm going through these 3 secrets, are you open-minded? Are you willing to hear what I'm saying with regard to how rich people actually behave, how people get rich and how rich people actually behave around money? Are you willing to challenge and let go of some beliefs you have around how you think it's supposed to work. Now, the bottom line is this. If you're getting exactly what you want out of life, you don't need to change your beliefs. So, for example, if your relationship, 10 out of 10, your financial life, 10 out of 10, your job, 10 out of 10, you probably don't need to shift many of your beliefs, right? If, however, you're not getting exactly what you want to tweak it, you want to make it better, or perhaps your life is a disaster around money or in some other area of life, you got to be willing to have an open mind to challenge some of your beliefs because those beliefs have predictable results. And so if you're not getting the results you want, let's work backwards, let's find out what those beliefs are, and let's shift them and change them. So, my promise to you is I'm going to teach you the truth about self-made millionaires in this video. This is based on research I've conducted that's been peer-reviewed, published in academic journals. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to make it not boring. This stuff is not my opinion. I'm actually very willing to change my opinion. So if I say something and share something with you based on the research that you say, hey, whoa, that doesn't fit with this study I read, that doesn't fit with this, I need to see the data, I don't want your opinion, I'm willing to absolutely change my mind around any of this stuff. I'm not attached to these beliefs. I'm not attached to these conclusions because I don't know. I'm only interested in the truth. So no BS. This is not my opinion. This is all based on research. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first secret of millionaire, and jot this down here, has to do with their what I would call wealth habits. Their wealth habits. Okay, so this is so important because we are being lied to every single day, especially on social media, about what rich people do, about how people get rich, and about what rich people do once they get rich. And so I'm going to blow some of these myths for you right now. And I'm going to talk about a study that I conducted with my buddy Paul Sullivan. And at this time, he was a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, or for the New York Times. I'm sorry, Paul, the New York Times. And so he and I collaborated. He had a Wealth Matters column, and so he was interested in the psychology of wealth. So was I. So we got together to do a study. And what we did is we looked at a group of over 1,000 individuals, and we broke them up into two different groups. So the first group had 11 million in net worth. The second group had $500,000 in net worth. So we broke them up into two different little groups there. And what we wanted to figure out between these two little groups, we wanted to challenge some myths or stereotypes. I had no idea if they were true or not true, by the way. And I was actually totally fine with either one. And what we found in terms of their demographics, and this kind of blew me away, is this group of 11 people at 11 million in net worth. I had a bunch of, think about your stereotypes right now. Think about somebody in your mind who's got $11 million in net worth. Close your eyes for a minute. Picture them. What do they look like? What's around them? Let's pretend that you're seeing them on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook. What pictures do you see around them? Like what kind of car do they drive? What kind of house do they live in? What is your stereotype? Who are these people in your minds? Take a moment. What just the first picture that comes to your mind? I got to tell you, I was blown away by some of this, but in terms of demographics, this is what we found. I pictured these people with $11 million in net worth to have all gone to private school. Okay, of course they went to private school. You know, this was one of the beliefs I had as a kid. I'm like, well, the only way, all these rich people, they all went to private school. You know, they all inherited their money. They're probably none of them work. They're all trust fund babies, you know, sitting on the beach, chilling, not working hard like me, not working hard like my family. Well, what we found in this study is that the majority of them went to public school, they worked full time, and they were first generation wealthy. First generation wealthy. Now, if you have read any research in this area and explored in this area, this really does go along with a lot of studies that have been done. And so I've seen anywhere from, in our sample is around 70%, but I've seen all the way up to a study done by Fidelity, I think it was, put them at about 87% of millionaires in the United States are self-made. self-made. 87%. In our study, it was around 70%. And I've seen some other studies that are right around there. So get that, 7 to 9 out of 10, the majority of millionaires in the United States are self-made. This shocked me. I didn't know. I wasn't sure when I was growing up, lower income. I thought you had to be born rich to be rich. I thought it took money to make money. Have you heard these things? These are very destructive beliefs, by the way. If I believe that I could never go from poor to rich because you got to be born rich to be rich, I could never go from poor to rich because I went to a public school. I didn't have a private school education. By the way, nothing wrong with private school education. Um, in fact, it's great if you can get it. But that's not the majority of self-made millionaires. The majority of millionaires are self-made. The majority went to public school. They got jobs. They're first generation wealthy. For some reason, for close-minded individuals, this can make them very angry, very angry. So I'm going to go back to who is this video for? I encourage you to have an open mind. I encourage you as you're having thoughts come up. So Dr. Brad's telling you, oh, the majority of millionaires in the United States are self-made. What's your first reaction to that? What's your first emotional gut reaction? Are you like, no way, there's no such thing as self-made? I get a lot of these comments in my videos and on my posts and everything. And people have a confirmation bias. So you have a belief, you have an opinion about who rich people are. A lot of these opinions are self-serving. Like, we arrive at these opinions to make us feel better about ourselves. I hate to say it, but that's literally what's true. And then we have a confirmation bias. So we look for information to kind of prove it, oh yeah, see this, I just saw a rich person and they inherited their money. See, rich people inherit their money. Some do. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If you've inherited money, congratulations. I hope my children and grandchildren inherit a lot of money. It's just not how most people get wealthy in the United States. And for me, if you are growing up poor, if you're first generation, starting to make money, first generation college, whatever it is, this is fascinating news. This is fascinating news. That means that you can do it too. And so when I saw this information, that's where I landed. And my mindset was, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, you can do it. And that's why I'm here talking with you. I'm excited for you about it because I know you can do it. It does not actually take that much. It's just a few mindset tweaks. And if I catch you at the right time, they can be transformational. So again, the psychology of rich people, this is a study. People had 11 million in net worth. Most of them did not inherit that 11 million. Most of them didn't inherit a dime. They're first generation earners. Most of them work full time. They went to public school. They were just straight up hustlers. Okay. And I mean that in terms of how much they're working and their work ethic and what they're trying to get done. So the second thing we looked at, and this is looking at myths around millionaires and their wealth habits. Okay. We asked them, how much money did you spend on your last home, car, vacation, and watch? Those were the questions. And again, we looked at a group of people, we called them wealthy, 11 million in net worth on average, compared to a group of mass affluent or middle class people, $500,000 in net worth. So one group had like almost 20 times more money than the other group. And we said, how much did you spend on your car, on your house, on your vacation, on your watch? This was shocking. And tell me if you're surprised. Tell me in the comments if this surprises you. So what we found overall is that this group of people with $11 million in net worth, 18 to 20 times as much money, they only spent twice as much on stuff. Whoa. You heard me right. They only spent twice as much on stuff. When I saw this data, I'm like, that can't possibly be true. That can't possibly be true. Look, I'm on social media. I see what people do. For me, I grew up watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous when I was young, and then it became MTV Cribs, then later it was My Super Sweet 16. Now it's social media. We are inundated with images of wealthy people and all their lavish lifestyle. So get this, I'm going to tell you the actual dollar amounts that people spend on stuff. Now, I will say this study was done a few years ago. And I know some of you, when I tell you how much these ultra wealthy people spend on their house, you're going to like lose it and be really upset. But keep in mind, some of these ultra wealthy people, they're, in their 50s, 60s, perhaps even 70s. And so maybe they bought this house decades ago. But the group of people who were the average net worth, or I want to say middle class, $500,000 in net worth, spent about $250,000 for their house. People in California are getting really upset at me as I say this. The people, but again, the point here is compare these two groups. The people with 11 million in net worth said they spent about $550,000 on their house. So about twice as much, not quite, but almost twice as much on their house. They had 20 times more money, but they only spent twice as much on their house. We asked them how much they spent on their last car. That $500,000, the mass affluent people said they spent about 26,000 on their car. This ultra wealthy group, they spent $40,000 on their car. Guys, that's not a Lamborghini. It might be a Mercedes, a used one, right? Maybe a used BMW, maybe a used Lexus, perhaps. I don't know. Most millionaires, though, they're driving those Hondas, they're driving those Toyotas. That's what they're doing, and that's what we found in our study. So $40,000 car versus $26,000. So it's even less than twice as much is what they spent. We asked them, how much money did you spend on your last vacation? This group of ultra wealthy, 11 million in net worth, 8 grand on their last vacation. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a great vacation. That group of 500,000 though, 4,000. So it's only twice as much on vacation. And this one blew me away. I thought that rich people had very expensive watches, right? Don't they? Right? Aren't they flexing Rolexes, Omegas? What are the other ones? I don't know. I'm not a big watch guy. What we found is that the middle class people spent about $314 on their watch. The ultra wealthy group, it was under 1,000. It was $829 on average. That's how much. Isn't that like a nice iWatch? I think that's what they are. They're running about that. It blew me away. So one of the things you have to understand is that ultra wealthy individuals are not spending money on a bunch of stuff. So what you're seeing on social media is a lie. It's a lie. Now, certainly some ultra wealthy people spend like that. But I will tell you this, most people who spend like that, who are ultra wealthy, aren't going to be ultra wealthy for very long. They don't have a rich mindset. They have a poor mindset. And we often see this where people grow up in, they have like a grandfather or a parent or a grandmother, whatever it is, makes tons of money. And then the next 2 generations just blow it all because they don't have that mindset. They don't have the saving and investing mindset. They don't have the frugal mindset. They don't have the hard working. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to deal with difficulty. I'm going to deal with stress. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to beat everyone to work. I'm going to work harder than all of them. Someday I'm going to own this business. Now, unfortunately, sometimes they're working 70, 80 hours a week. I went through a period of time in my life when I was working that much, but that's how they get it done. That's how they do it. That's how people climb the socioeconomic ladder. I don't really know how there's any other way to do it. If I could be on here and tell you, go buy this crypto, go buy a certain lottery ticket, pick these numbers, and you'll go from poor to rich instantly, I would tell you. I would tell you to do it. I would have done it myself. That's just not how people get rich. That's not how people stay rich. That mindset will destroy you financially eventually, if not really, really quickly. So the way I look at it, what is this wealth habits mindset? What is true wealth? For me, true wealth is owning your time. It's owning your time. And I encourage you to think about that. I encourage you to set that as your bar. Like, how much of your time can you own? And by that, I mean, you can fund your life without needing to go work for someone else, without needing to go work for yourself. It's all about that concept of passive income, right? So how much of a nest egg can you set aside so that that nest egg will spin off money for you, that investment will spin off money for you so that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. That to me is true wealth. True wealth is owning your time. And if you have a materialistic mindset, and I get young people who say this to me, it's like, yeah, Dr. Brad, how boring, Look, what's the point of being rich? What's the point of being a multimillionaire if you can't drive a Lamborghini, man? If you can't, wear a really expensive $5,000 suit, if you can't have a $10,000, $20,000 watch, what's the point? I worry about these people. I'm telling you, I worry about them because this is what I know is going to happen unless they shift their mindset. This is what's going to happen. Let's say they go to college, they get a degree in finance, whatever. They get their first job, man, and let's say it's a great one, 100K a year. You're making 100K a year. Wow, that is so much money if you grew up poor. It's unbelievable. Now, a rich mindset would look at that 100K, and the first things they would do, by the way, is pay themselves first. So the first thing they would do, financial freedom fund. And I encourage you to do about 30% of your income. You know, some financial experts say 10%. I wanted to get richer faster. It's okay if you want to take more time. That's fine. However you want to do it. You have to pay yourself first, though, whether it's 10%, 15, 20, 30. I know people who pay themselves way more than that. My buddy Adrian lived in a van. Adrian Brambilla, you should totally follow him on social media. He's fabulous. He lived in a van for a year. He saved and invested 95% of his money. 95%. Incredible. So I always say the richer you want to get and the faster you want to get rich, that's how you decide what percentage of your income should be saving and investing. That's how you do it. But you have to do it. You got to pay yourself first, man. You got to pay yourself first. And hopefully I can catch you and you can catch this message. And I'm coming to you before you even get your first job, before you get out of high school, before you get out of college. People ask me, Dr. Brad, here you are. You're like a certified financial planner, practitioner, et cetera, doctorate, you're a college professor. What are you doing on social media? What are you doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm trying to catch people as early as I possibly can. I know this is where you're at. I know this is where you're hanging out. And even if you're my age or older, let's teach our kids this stuff. Even if we didn't have a chance to do it ourselves, even if this information came late in the game for us, pass this down. And I'll just give you the real simple formula, man. Here's the simple formula. $5 a day. Invested at average market returns. Average. You can Google this. The average U.S. market return, the average S&P 500 average for the past 100 years. Google that. It's over 10% a year. So let's say you did $5 a day. Average market returns, it's over $1 million in just 42 years. Dr. Brad, 42 years, that's way too long. I know it is. That's why you need to save more than $5 a day. Save and invest it. But that's the simple formula. That is how people get rich. That's how they stay rich. Okay. I got a question here. I've always wanted to quit my job, but can't find anything to replace it and be financially free. Hey, I totally understand. I totally get it. Keep looking. Keep searching. I worked a day job for years and years and years until I was able to invest in businesses. Many of them failed along the way until I could get to the point where I could own more and more and more of my time. And that's really the key. So look for those side hustles, experiment, use your nights, your weekends, get off Netflix, focus on building your business. That alone will free up 10 hours a week for you. Get off social media. Don't spend as much time on there after you're watching this video. You want to finish this video though. Invest it in yourself. Invest it in furthering your education. Invest it. I put out a post recently. I said your primary job is to be constantly preparing yourself for a better job, for a higher paying job. It could be within your own company and you're advancing yourself, or it might be you need to shift, but always be looking to advance yourself. What new skill set can you learn? You got to be a hustler. You got to be thinking about this. So for me, true wealth, owning your time. If you're focused on owning stuff, I worry about you. If you do get money, you're probably not going to have it for long because that's not how it works. That is not the mindset of wealthy people. Wealthy people have wealthy habits, okay? And the wealthy habits are not spending your money, essentially. What you want to do is invest in yourself. You want to invest in that nest egg so that nest egg feeds you. That's your income. You don't have to go work for it anymore because that money's working for you. It's spinning it off for you. And look, people talk about getting into real estate and all that, and all that's fine. I'm just saying it's unnecessary. You can actually get this by just doing straight up vanilla investing. And that's one of the secrets. That's how wealthy people invest. Wealthy people don't day trade. They don't swing trade. They're not options trading. They're not crypto trading. They're not doing any of this stuff. The only people who are in their basements spending time, how can I beat the market, are people who don't have any money. And it's sad. That was me, by the way. If you're just tuning in, that was me. I did that. I didn't know any better. I grew up lower income. I didn't know how rich people invested. I didn't know how people got rich. I thought that's what they did. That's not what they do. Trust me. Trust me. As I mentioned, I work in an asset management company. I'm an owner of it, and we work with a lot of ultra wealthy individuals. A lot of ultra wealthy individuals, and that's not how they invest. That's not how they invest. They put a lot of time and energy into this money, into creating this nest egg. They're not going to go gamble with it. So somebody's asking who's this guy I mentioned. His name's Adrian Brambila. You can find him on YouTube, Instagram. You can find him on TikTok, Facebook. By the way, he's the side hustle king. He's the side hustle king. He has courses on side hustles. I don't get a commission for telling you this. They're great courses, though. How to make money online. That's his expertise. I know him personally. I know his family, and I know he's legit. And because there's a lot of scammers out there. So Adrian Brambila, he and I are actually writing a book together that I'm really excited to be bringing to you guys this summer. Super excited about it. So let's get past this. Wealth habits. You got to be a saver. You got to be an investor. You got to pay yourself first. That's the key. Don't focus on buying a bunch of expensive stuff. That's not what wealthy people do, frankly. That's not what wealthy people do. Most are self-made. Most describe themselves as frugal. They save, they invest. That's what I want you to do. Focus on making more money so you can invest more money. Don't focus on trying to make your investments beat the market, if you will. All right, so now let's get into the second part. And this is, I love talking about this because I am a psychologist. So we are going to now talk about what I think is the absolute most important part about becoming a self-made millionaire. And that is number two, we need to have what we're going to call here. And by the way, I'm super excited about this because I did this research. You want to have a millionaire mindset, baby. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is because I wanted to know what it is. I did research on what it is. And I'm super excited to share with you several components of this millionaire mindset. Okay. So, how much of this can you see? Yeah, I'm going to move this one down. So, I'm going to give you these here. I'm going to talk about 4 components of a millionaire mindset. And again, this is all based on research. So we looked at that group of individuals who had 11 million in net worth. We compared them to that group who had $500,000 in net worth. We also compared them to groups of people who had lower levels of net worth. They're poor, low income. So what separates these things? So the first one I'm going to talk about here is called, yeah, I'm sorry. This is not a great name here. It's very psychobabbly, but I'm going to explain it to you. First one is a locus of control. So it's internal, actually. Please bear with me. Stay here. I'm going to explain what this is. Internal locus of control. You got to have an internal locus of control. You got to. Okay. Who is in control of your life? Who is it? Think about it right now. So you have a job. You're not getting paid what you think you're worth. Who's in control? Who's in control? You are in a relationship with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, whatever. It's not going so well. Who's in control? Why is that happening? You are feeling like your partner is not treating you right. You have a failed business. Your business just failed. Who's in control? Who's in control? And so there are 2 different types of psychological control and how we perceive it. One is called external locus of control. Millionaires have an internal locus of control. External locus of control. I'll give you an example. So my relationship, it's not so rewarding. We're fighting all the time. It's because of my wife. It's because of my wife. I'm a good man. I show up for my kids. I work hard. I provide. I'm good with my feelings. I talk to her about my feelings all the time and I listen to her. It's her. My relationship is bad because of her. My business failed. It's because of those greedy banks. It's because of the economy. It's because of the unfair things the competition is doing. That's why my business failed. I lost my house. It's because of those greedy lenders. Okay. My boss, I got fired at work. It's because of my boss. My boss always had it out for me. I got an F on my test. That teacher never liked me. This is an external locus of control. It's where when things happen in our life, we look and frankly, we blame everyone else for it. Now, the problem with this, or the challenge, I should say, is there's plenty of people to blame, man. There's plenty of people to blame. There's so many people out there doing naughty things who are not very nice, who are trying to take advantage of other people. There are greedy banks, capitalism, not entirely fair all the time. Um, growing up poor. Are you kidding me? How unfair is that? How unfair is it to grow up poor? Meanwhile, you got people who grew up rich. Life is not fair. I make no excuses for it. I think it's terribly unfair. In many ways, I'm blessed. I wasn't blessed with any money. I wasn't blessed with an intact family. I wasn't blessed with a lack of trauma in my life, a lack of depression, a lack of anxiety, a lack of trauma. I was not blessed with that. Life is tough. I have it easy compared to perhaps you do. My heart goes out to you. The key, though, here is if you want to be successful, and by the way, this is not me, this is not my opinion, this is based on science, it's based on research. I want you to be successful. And if you want to be successful, try your best each day to adopt this mindset of an internal locus of control. So my business failed. Yes, yes, yes. I know the economy, all that. Yes, yes, yes. Were there signs that I missed? Were there things I didn't know? What mistakes did I make along the way? Oh, by the way, this mindset is gold. Oh my gosh, it's gold. Because if you don't identify those things, you're very likely to make these mistakes all over again. You're very likely to be tripping yourself up over and over and over. Okay, so yes, sometimes my wife, she's not being very nice to me sometimes. But what can I do to make this relationship better? In what ways am I not showing up the way I should be showing up or the way I want to show up? What can I do to make a shift? That is such a powerful mindset, by the way. And in couples therapy, too, when I've worked with couples and I work with couples, that's the mindset I want couples to have. I say that at least 50% of this relationship is under your control because you're half of it. So how can you be showing up differently? Like, yes, 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 I know you want more love and affection and respect. How can you give more love and affection and respect? Well, I need her to do it first or him to do it first. What if you did it first? What if you were strong enough to do it first? I lost my house in the Great Recession. Oh, the greedy lenders, etc. Okay, but did I get in over my head? I've always heard to put 20% down. I didn't. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? This is probably the most important millionaire mindset you can possibly get. This internal locus of control is associated with success at school, in business, emotional success, relational success. If you get nothing else from this conversation, I want you to very gently and lovingly blame yourself for just about everything you possibly can. Now, when you're a kid, hardly anything's your fault in your family. You can't help it if your parents mistreated you, etc. You can't help it. Perhaps if something really bad happened to you, sometimes it pays to look in there and say, like, was I driving a little too fast? I know I hit a patch of ice, but could I have been doing something different? Did I have enough weight in the back of the truck, etc. I mean, even in some of these things that are really rough that happen to us, try your best to look. And again, not to be disparaging, not to be harming yourself with all this negative blame, etc. But it helps to have some healthy blame. Like look very closely. What was my part in this? So that's number one, locus of control. Let's get on to millionaire mindset number two. And this has to do with your money scripts. Okay, now I do a lot of research on money scripts. And I'm just gonna talk to you briefly. There's 4 categories. You can take a test if you want to of your money scripts, moneyscripts.com. That's my website. You can take a test there to see what your money scripts are. But we found 4 categories. I'll give them to you really briefly. The first is money avoidance, where you think money is bad and you think rich people are greedy and money corrupts. Terrible, terrible mindset. If you got it, I'm concerned about you because it's associated with terrible financial outcomes. And it makes sense. If you think that money's bad and rich people are greedy, of course you're not going to become rich. And if you get any money, you're going to sabotage it. You're going to throw it away. And chances are all your friends think the same way, right? You get around, you talk about all these greedy rich people. And the problem is there's a lot of greedy rich people, but there's a lot of rich people who are actually quite generous and actually quite good people. And that's what I want for you. I want you to become one of those really generous, great rich people. Do great things in the world. So that's one. Money avoidance, no good. Number two, money status. This is where you grew up poor, quite typically, and you think that more stuff's going to make, the more I can flash, the more I can flex, show people my watch, show people my Lamborghini, my mansion, etc. Then I'm going to get love. Then I'm going to get respect. Well, the problem with this, it's a never-ending cycle of buying more stuff. You're wrapped up in trying. This is the keeping up with the Joneses. We actually discovered this in psychology, and it afflicts a lot of people, and it's very, very dangerous. So the whole keeping up with the Joneses, social media is terrible for this, right? Where we see people flexing all this stuff, and then we feel bad about ourselves. We feel like we need to flex stuff. The third one is what we call the money worship or money focus. And this one is where we think more stuff's going to make us happier. More money, more stuff. The more I get, the happier I'll be. I buy this new shiny toy. Oh my gosh, it's going to make me so much happier. It's associated with higher credit card debt, lower income, lower net worth, because stuff just won't make you happier. But you can become addicted to buying stuff and it'll make you miserable and it will make you broke. So the fourth category of money scripts that is associated with wealth, and this is the mindset you got to have, this is the mindset of millionaires, okay, is money vigilance. So again, a bunch of studies we've done on this, money vigilance. These are beliefs like it's important to save for a rainy day. These are beliefs like I'd be a nervous wreck if I didn't have money saved for an emergency. These are beliefs like this. If you asked me how much money I made, I'd probably downplay it and tell you I make less than I actually do. The irony on social media, and this prepare to have your mind blown right now. The irony is that wealthy people, most wealthy people, again, most self-made wealthy people, downplay how much money they have. They're not the ones on social media flexing their fancy car. Is that even their car? I know they're standing in front of it. I want to see the pink slip. Standing in front of that mansion. Who are these people? Why? Think about it for a second. Why do people feel a need to show the world all their stuff? Think about the psychology of that. I recently put out a video and I said that the only people flexing luxury brands on social media are broke and insecure. Okay, now there might be one or two people who aren't because their parents made a bunch of money, or perhaps they came into a bunch of money really quickly and they're burning through it really fast. But that's essentially it. What we found in the studies is that the actual self-made millionaires are vigilant around money. They're frugal. They think it's extravagant to spend money on themselves, actually. And here's the big irony. I work with a lot of ultra wealthy individuals, and you know what the challenge is for them is I got to sit them down and be like, hey man, you got to spend a little money. I mean, you have all this money. Don't be so cheap. Try to enjoy yourself. Try to take your family on a vacation. Go to a dentist for goodness sake. That is the actual issue psychologically around money that most ultra wealthy individuals have who are self-made and got there themselves. And I talk a lot about self-made because a huge part of what I'm trying to do is help people climb the socioeconomic ladder. And so I feel like in terms of studying the behaviors and habits and mindsets, we should probably study the people who were able to do it since we want to replicate what they did. So that's the second millionaire mindset, is having those money scripts. And for us, it's that money vigilance money scripts. Let's get into the third money mindset I want to talk about. And that is loss aversion. I'll say loss versus abundance, okay? Loss aversion versus abundance. All right, I'm going to talk about both of these. So here's one of the challenges I had when I first started to, quote, invest. And by that, I mean day trade, because that's what I thought rich people do. And by the way, that's not what rich people do. Loss aversion is where we are afraid to admit we've made a mistake. We're afraid to say, oh, I shouldn't have got into that crypto or into that day trading. And so we don't stop. We ride it all the way down to the bottom. Loss aversion is where we psychologically, we can't handle it. We can't handle an internal locus of control. It's too stressful for us. So what we do instead is we try to pretend like it's not happening. A great example again is relationships where people stay in a relationship too long, okay, or they hold on to a business, a failing business too long, and they ride the ship down to the bottom of the ocean because they don't have the mental, psychological strength to say, I screwed up. I messed up. This is a millionaire mindset, by the way. Millionaires are more likely to blame themselves for stuff. They're more likely to take responsibility for it. They have an internal locus of control. They think that the outcomes in their life are because of what they're doing or because of what they're not doing, because of a mindset they have that isn't working for them, that they need to shed. So that's a huge thing. Admitting when it's time to let go of a belief, when it's time to let go of something that's failing for us. What we found in our studies, ultra wealthy individuals much less likely to hold on to that need to be right. Now let's look at abundance too. And this is a real interesting psychological truth. You're going to find what you're looking for. You're going to find more of it and more of it and more of it. So be careful what you're looking for. One of the things I've noticed in working with ultra wealthy individuals versus middle class and poor, low income and poor, is that the ultra wealthy tend to have a bit of an abundance mindset in some ways. So on the one hand, they're worried about not having enough money, so they're hustling. They believe in their ability to get it though. So they believe in a world in which there's a trust that hard work will lead to higher pay. There's a trust that I can put my money in the hands of an asset manager who has all the appropriate credentials, of course, and they're going to manage it for me. This is a real interesting thing we found in our studies. I call it do-it-yourself-itis. So if you grew up lower income, even up to middle class, you might have do-it-yourself-itis. And you come by it honestly because when you're broke, you can't afford to have a mechanic. You can't afford to have somebody doing your taxes. You can't afford to have somebody helping you with your investments. So what do you do instead? Well, you got to do it all yourself, right? And our studies found that the people who are ultra wealthy are much more likely to trust. They're much more likely to trust a financial planner. They're much more likely to use a financial planner, a coach, a business coach, a certified public accountant, a CPA. They're much more likely to trust these individuals. They have an abundance mindset. So in that sense, so you got to be thinking about the possibilities. You got to believe in your potential to change. You got to believe in a universe that will respond to you if you do the right things. And by the right things, I mean what's worked for everybody who's gotten there. It's a very real standard sort of process here. It's available to you. You got to believe it. You are no less worthy than anyone else who has any money. Okay. When I was broke, when I was in the midst of having a broken family, I did not feel very good about myself as a kid. I knew we were poor. I knew I didn't have a mom and dad like everybody else did. I think I was the only kid in kindergarten that I remember this explicitly, the only kid with divorced parents. I was the only one. And now it's much more popular. I probably would feel a lot better now. But I was the only one I knew. I felt terrible about myself. I knew we were poor. I mean, look, I had a loving family. But I knew they loved me, but we didn't have any money, right? I felt terrible about myself. I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no difference in value as a human being from a poor person from a rich person. One is not better, one is not worse. I also don't think that poor people don't are lazy or anything like that. I knew a lot of people who were really hard workers who were poor and had a hard time getting out of there. So I do know that to climb the ladder, you got to be a hard worker. You do. You absolutely do. And you got to work smart and you got to have an open mind. And you always got to be looking for how do I improve my income? How do I make more money? How do I better my skill set? This is the mindset we need to have. So the fourth component of this millionaire mindset is openness. Is there two N's in openness? I'll just say open-mindedness so I don't embarrass myself. Open-mindedness. So again, as I'm talking and I'm sharing with you this data around self-made millionaires, this and that, and what percentage is this and that, you might be getting triggered. Like, I didn't know this and I don't believe this. I just encourage you to have an open mind. Openness to experience is what we would call it in psychology. It's associated with good outcomes. Think about it. You're getting what you're getting right now because of your beliefs, because of your set of knowledge, because of how you think the world works. If you want something different, you got to shift your beliefs. You got to, and in order to do that, you have to have an open mind. You have to have an open mind. Um, yeah. Deal Hunter says motion doesn't always equal progress. Work hard and smart, and I couldn't agree more. It's funny though. I get people saying, "Ah, you don't have to work hard." You do have to actually work hard. Most people who make it work really hard. I really don't know any self-made millionaires who were working 5 hours a week. Eventually, they do, and that's the goal, right? All right. So, quick review here before we get number three. Wealth habits. Do you have wealth habits? Here are the wealth habits: saving and investing. Number one, you got to pay yourself first. What percentage of your income are you saving and investing right now? I'd love you to put it in the comments, but it's okay if you don't. I want you to think about it. What percentage of your income are you saving and investing? And if you don't know, find out. And if you're doing nothing, your goal for 2024 is to do 1%. Now you're saying, I know I can't do any because times are hard, and times are really hard for many, many individuals. But you can do 1%. I know you can. You can cut out a latte here or there. You can, whatever, skip going out to eat once a week. You can do 1%. Save and invest. You need to have a financial freedom fund. If you don't have a financial freedom fund, you're never going to get there. You're never, ever going to get there. So get there. Have a number. I always shop for 30%. It's real easy to do that when you're fresh out of school. If you've already have a job, you got kids, you got a family, you're already working 3 jobs, your mortgage is this high, you got car payments, etc., you're already in trouble. Okay, so I try to get people before they create their life and all those expenditures. You got to have that pay yourself first mindset. If you didn't have it, teach your kids it. If it's too late for your kids, teach your grandkids. Let's reverse this cycle of poverty in our families. Let's bring up those younger generations. And the way to do it is to not hand them money. That's not how you do it. You do it by giving them the mindset. And it's okay if you didn't have it. You can learn it yourself and you can still pass it down. Okay. I also don't think it's too late for you. I should just say that. So let's get on to the third secret of millionaires. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this one because it's so incredibly important. And I'm using these words on very specifically. Dream lifestyles. Number 3 here is dream lifestyles. That doesn't really sound like a secret, does it? But it is. And I'm going to actually share with you how to get your dream lifestyle. So, and this is again based on another study we did. And we got people to increase their savings rate by 73% after doing some of what we're going to be doing right now. So, what is happiness to you? I want you to think about it. What is happiness to you? And I think it's several components. So, the first one is an exciting vision of your future. What is it you want? Do it right now. Think about it. Let's base this on your values and goals too. What ultimately are you wanting for yourselves and for your family? Where are you? So here's your exciting vision. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? It's so important because if you don't have an idea of your dream lifestyle, you're never actually going to get it. Because what we're asking ourselves to do is we're asking ourselves to save and sacrifice and do all these things that we're not actually wired to do. And what we found is that when we got people to sit and think about, and for this particular study, we had people draw pictures and create a vision board. And I'd love for you to do that if you're really serious about getting rich. I strongly encourage you to do this because again, we saw a 73% increase in people saving towards their goals after doing this. So the question really comes down to this, and you can start here. So what matters the most to you? Is it a sense of adventure? Is it financial freedom, financial security? Is it a better life for your children? What is it you want? What's this all for? You're working hard. You're saving and investing, or perhaps you're not, but you're at least working hard. But what are you doing it for? Come on, it's not for a Rolex, is it? That'll give you fleeting joy. No offense to Rolex. There's no long-term happiness in that pursuit. What is it you're wanting? Is that a certain feeling you'd get with that? What is it you want? What's the point? And if you have these goals of retirement, what does that mean? Give me a specific picture. The clearer you can make this picture, the clearer you can get about your dream lifestyle, the clearer picture you can paint for yourself about your financial goals, the more likely you are to meet them. That's what it comes down to. And this can be some material stuff too, of course. You want to buy a house someday. Cut out a picture of that house. Where is it? You know, it doesn't have to be the specific house, but in general, how many bathrooms? How many bathrooms? Is it more than one? At the beginning of the video, I said that that's rich to me, is more than one bathroom. I grew up with one. Who's there? How does it feel? Why does this matter? Is it about financial freedom? Is it about financial security? Is it about creating a better life for your kids? Is it about having peak emotional experiences with the people you love? What matters to you? So, if you are just starting out investing, if you're in transition, so you're going through a divorce, you're leaving high school, going to college, college out into the workforce, if you're trying to make up for lost time because this is brand new information to you, I just want you to know that it's not too late. I want you to know that you can do this. All you need to do is to dive deep into the psychology and the habits of self-made millionaires. And we reviewed them here. Save this video, watch it again, watch it as many times as you need to understand this. You can do it. I want it for you. It's possible for you. And I will be here to the best of my ability supporting you along the way. So thank you for being here. And I'll try to do more of these live streams. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like me to talk more about. I love you. I care about you. You've got this.